Okay, guys, so we have a new character in this one. So I want to say it started off at their apartment. Um, this character I'm referring to is actually an old friend. Recently became old, and it was a few of us, like a kickback or a get together or something. And I remember bringing my tarot cards, right? And I don't know how we got on the subject, but someone asked me to bring them out, show us, do a reading, like, being like that mean girls kind of petty shit, right? But ain't no shame in my game, okay? You want to see, I'm gonna show you, right? Period. And so I pull my cards out, right? And so I start shuffling and start doing what I'm doing. Well, in the group, there was this one guy, black guy, handsome guy, nice haircut, taper fade, black shirt on with a silver chain, and he had that issue energy, like that Papa Legba energy, like if you know, you know, okay, the Baron kind of energy, He had a bunch of silver rings on, like just yeah, but you know me, he's getting nobody again. But anyway, he's important because when they asked me to do it, I went to the couch and I sat down. It was like a sectional like, and he was sitting on the opposite side. And when I started, shuffling my cards or whatever, he pulls out his cards, okay? And of course, his cards are bigger, so he just wanted to act like, oh, his cards were so much better. And yeah. So I started doing my reading, and every time I would say something, he would try to say, oh, actually, something, right? Oh, well, when I do it, it means this, that, and the other. Just trying to chump me. So I got the feeling that they were like trying to do this mockery thing, just trying to gang up and just make a joke out of it, right? Cool. You have all rights to do that. That's on you, And they brought him in to kind of like seal the deal. Like, see, she ain't what she say she is type thing, Whatever. And so, I tried to ignore him as much as I could, but we ended up getting into a tarot war, right? And I ended up reading him, and of course I read him the field, and everybody was like, oh my God, how dare she, blah, 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 blah. But then, the old friend tried to be like, okay, guys, okay, we don't have time for this, we have somewhere to go. Well, then I realized that we had all come together for a trip, and we were supposed to like get in this RV and go somewhere. Okay, so then the dream jumps to this like plateau area in the mountains. It's like a massive flat part of the mountains. Everybody knows what plateau is. Okay, I'm over here trying to describe it. Anyway, it was white and like dusty, with the rocks and everything. Everybody knows what that looks like, right? But how massive it was what surprised me. And so we're getting out of this RV, and it's not just us there. Like, it's a bunch of people, probably maybe like 50, 60 people on this plateau, all with RVs, all hanging out. And I kind of feel awkward because, like, I don't know anybody, but, it's kind of part of going to a trip, right? And yeah, it was so many people. It was like we were waiting on a concert, but, and so, everybody's doing what they do. They chit-chatting and mingling and asking questions and getting to know each other and shit. And people asking me questions and stuff. I just felt like I didn't want to be there. Like, I didn't want to be amongst those people. I didn't know those people. Most of them weren't my people, if you know what I mean. And so there came a point where everybody kind of dispersed into their own little groups, and again, I didn't want to be there, so I just went back to the RV and started putting food together or whatever. Well, not too far from where I was, that friend that I was telling you about, the old friend, and another girl, might have been two of them, but I think it might have just been one, sat on this like big ass boulder collection near where I was, but far enough that it didn't look like they were by me, right? And so I saw them, and the old friend, she just was looking like she was kind of pouty, but arms folded, just real distant type, like she was having an issue with something. I don't know, but I wasn't gonna find out either. I just was in my own zone. And a lady walked up to me. She started chit-chatting to me, with me. And I said something because I noticed the old friend over there before the lady walked up. And so I said something. I was talking, and I said something out loud. If you know how people just say stuff and whoever wants to respond can respond. Just a random subject of whatever. I don't remember exactly what it was, but I just threw it out to the crowd. The four of us that were around. And whatever I said, obviously it opened the door for her to get off her chest, whatever it was that she was trying to manage, okay, because she responded, but her response was, again, loud enough for me to hear it because it was directed at me, but mind you, she was across the way, right, like near me but far, and her response was, well, it would have been nice if you would have remembered me. And everyone fell silent, like the chit-chattering stopped, like everybody just turned and looked. So I stopped cooking, and I looked around, and everybody was just like, and I noticed that there was this lady across the way that stood out from the crowd, and she was just looking with this smirk on her face. And she was super tall, like taller than everybody else, and she was really, really fair skinned, like almost pale. And it was awkward because there was so much sunlight outside, right? She almost glowed, like she had like a shimmer to her skin, like that's how pale she was, right? And so I just kind of looked at her, and again, she smirked at me, and so then I looked at the old friend. I told her I did remember you. I just got busy. And I didn't call you when you thought that I should, and it was a problem. So she started getting teary-eyed and again telling me how it made her feel. And I told her again, it wasn't intentional to make you feel any kind of way, but the way you acted about it told me a lot. the entitlement was crystal fucking clear to me. And I didn't like that energy. I didn't want that energy around me. And her response was that maybe we would still be friends if you would have just remembered me on the day you were supposed to remember me. Still entitled. She again said she didn't feel safe in the friendship if I wasn't going to honor her feelings. And I told her that I don't know what kind of friendship she thinks this is, but I don't want friends that expect me to jump when and how they say jump, because those aren't friends to me. You think you can just crack a whip and I'm supposed to jump? Like, I don't know what kind of friend that is, because it's not a friend. It ain't been me, ain't never gonna be me. So yeah, I thought we were better than that. And of course she continued to stand on what she was saying, as she should, because I'm gonna stand 10 toes down on how I feel too. But I was not in agreement with it. I'm not gonna be in agreement with it, so I just said okay, and I walked the fuck off. Well, as I was walking, I ran into that fair-skinned lady with the glitter skin, right? She had long, wavy brown hair and this ethereal energy about her. And she was sitting on a huge stone when I walked past her. And she asked me to sit next to her, so I sat down. And I don't quite remember what she said to me, but I remember it being super profound and it making a whole lot of sense. And it was about the situation that I just walked out of. But I noticed that she was saying it loud enough that that old friend and the group that she was with, trying to console her, could hear. And again, I don't remember exactly what she said, but I remember her making a statement at the end saying something along the lines of, now you got to decide if that's the kind of friendship that you want to maintain, nurture, build from, or something along those lines. She used some big words, big, profound, fluffy angel words, but they were like, they landed deep for me. And it seemed like it landed deep for everybody else too, because they were stunned at what she was saying. And before she could finish her last statement, I was like, no, I don't want a friend like that. I told her I want a friend that understands that shit happens and people get busy. You know, I want a friend that is authentic. I want a friend that doesn't let shit like that change the situation, you know? And then I told the lady, I was like, to be honest, I felt in my spirit that none of that energy really belonged to me. Like, I felt like she was going through something in her own life and was bottling it up, like she was dealing with it on her own. And you know, when you do that, a lot of times that energy comes out in other places that it don't belong. And I turned to the old friend and I said, I completely understand that, because I've been there. But taking something so petty and breaking an entire friendship, a years-long friendship up for that, let me know that we probably wasn't really friends to begin with, you know? And then I turned to the lady and I was like, you know, some people like when you're down. They like when you're in your toxic state, you know, because they can feel needed. Like, they feel like you're useful, they can help you. And then when they need help, they're not gonna tell nobody. So ain't nobody gonna help them because they ain't gonna tell nobody, you know? And that's on them, because I've been that person too, you know, and I had to suffer on my own. Until somebody asked me, then I might have said it, I might not have. But I'm not gonna throw all my energy into something where it don't belong. Like, I'm not gonna put all my shit on you because I'm mad at myself in the world. You know what I mean? And so it was at that point the lady turned and she actually faced me and looked me in my eyes. She hadn't been looking at me. She hadn't faced me the whole time. She really was just talking out in the open. And I'm listening to her. And her eyes just got me like stuck. They were blue, but they didn't have pupils. They were like oceans in her eyes. It was rippling water and waves just flowing in her eyes. Just blue color, no pupil. If you can imagine that, I can't describe it with words. It was amazing. It was gorgeous. And she looked me dead in the eye and she said, exactly. And some other profound shit that I can't remember. I don't know, but something along the lines of, I got a bigger purpose and a bigger mission to focus on, and things will play out how they're supposed to play out. And yeah, she said, but it was beautiful while it lasted, wasn't it? I said, yeah, actually it was. We had a good time. I enjoyed her. She said, but sometimes you gotta leave them behind. I said, I know. And the next thing I remember, I'm walking barefoot on these fucking rocks, sticking me and my feet across the plateau to the other side, where there's a whole nother group of RVs and people, just like the one I just walked from, almost like a mirror image of it, but they were all white and like all fair skin white. Like, it was crazy. And so at some point I decided that I was gonna go back to my RV, or the RV that we had. And as I was walking back across, again barefoot, rocks poking me, I ran into this little boy and he's saying something to me I don't remember, but I remember looking down and there were like these ant-like things that were crawling on my feet. And so I started freaking out, like trying to wipe them off, but they wouldn't wipe off. They were just like crawling around me, and they started glowing, but they weren't biting me. They started making patterns, like henna patterns on my feet. It was weird. And so I kept like trying to get them off. They weren't coming off, like they were in my skin. It was weird. So I started like running towards the RV to hop in the shower so I could like try to wash them off or something. And then when I got to the RV, I heard this boom, like this big thunder sound. I looked up and these gray clouds just started forming over the plateau. And so I just hopped in the RV, told everybody to get in the RV and let's go, because I felt in my spirit that someone right with this storm, right? And so there was like this back road, and so I started going down the back road, and then I heard on the CB radio that these particular roads were dangerous in the storm, and this major storm's coming through, and they started describing the storm and everything. And of course the road that we're on is the road that they said that we're not supposed to be on, and that we need to find the highway or something like that. And I just got so scared and so nervous. I was like, motherfucker, this is the road, like what are we supposed to do? So I just made an executive decision. I reached deep down in my gut and I hit the fucking gas, and we took off down that road, and I woke up. There's a message in there somewhere for somebody. I don't know. Anyway.